My fiance refuses to share a last name with me because it is cringy, and I won't understand because I'm adopted. So I asked for the ring back. A few weeks ago, my fiance and I were talking about our wedding, which is scheduled for June of next year, and our honeymoon. At one point, I jokingly said something to the effect of, "We'll see about that future Mrs., my last name," and she visibly cringed. She told me she isn't going to be Mrs., my last name, and I said, "Okay, then I'll be Mr., her last name, because I don't really care if she takes my name or I take hers. I just want to share one." She said, "No, I'm keeping my name, and you can keep yours." I asked who our future kids would be named after. She said her because she's the mother, so I'd be the odd one out. For context, I grew up in foster care after both my parents died. I didn't have any other biological family, so I was bounced around from home to home from the ages of 5 to 18 when I aged out. I never felt welcome in any of those foster homes and never felt like I had a real family. I always swore I'd have a real family one day though. So naturally, I want to share a last name with my wife and our kids. I truly don't care what name. Mine, hers, a new one we both choose. It doesn't matter to me. I just want a real family that I feel connected to. 2 days later, we met up at a park today. I asked her late last night if she could meet me to talk about something, and she immediately agreed because it seems she thought it was about the wedding. My friend was with me, but waited in my car so he wouldn't be spotted. I asked her to sit down with me because I needed to ask her some very important questions about our future. I told her I needed answers, and I needed her to give me enough respect as a human to not walk away when I'm trying to talk. I started by explaining again how I've never felt like I was part of a real family, not since I lost my parents anyway, and how important it is to me that I feel that connection to my wife and kids. It may seem like a small thing to most, but to me it's huge. I've lived most of my life feeling like I'm completely alone. She told me she knows how hard my life has been, and now I have her, so I'm not alone anymore. Then I asked her if she could please explain to me exactly why she is so vehemently against us having the same last name, if she acknowledges that she knows how important it is to me that I share a name with my wife and kids, so I feel like I'm in a real family and not an outsider. I reminded her that I don't expect her to take my name, and I'm more than willing to take hers, hyphenate, or come up with something completely different. I just want to share a name with my wife and kids, so we're all one family unit. Her response to that was surprising. She rolled her eyes and told me it's so cringy when people have the same last name after they get married. That was her sole reason for us not sharing a name. I asked her to elaborate on that. She went into a whole rant about how she thinks it's cheesy when she meets a couple, and they introduce themselves as the last names, and that it makes her want to throw up when she hears it, and so many other ways it makes her angry. When I brought up the fact that her parents have the same last name because they're married, she said, "That's different, and I wouldn't understand because of being an orphan," which really threw me. Long story short, I let her know that I need some time to myself to really think things over and decide how I want to move forward. I asked her to give me time, and I would let her know when I'm ready to talk. She didn't like hearing that, but I told her I needed to leave. 6 days later, I went to work trip for 3 days, and I busy all afternoon and part of the evening, so I wasn't checking my personal cell. At 10 p.m., I saw that I had a lot of missed calls and texts from my fiance. By a lot, I mean over 50 texts and 19 missed calls since that morning. It seems she went to my condo, and when security wouldn't let her in, since I took her off my list of approved visitors, she flipped out. So she started calling and texting me. Her last-ditch effort to get me to answer her was to threaten to call the police and say she hadn't seen me in days and was worried I was suicidal. And when I didn't answer right away, she went through with that plan. The police were allowed to enter the condo community, and when I didn't answer my door, they couldn't do anything else and left. This didn't please my fiance, and she kept calling and texting. When I saw the calls and messages, I sent one text in reply that only said, "I'm on a work trip until Thursday. Please respect my need for time to think about everything. We will talk when I get home." Then I ignored everything from her for the rest of the week while I was away. Fast forward to Thursday evening, we land back in the city, and I drove home. I guess she was lurking nearby because I was told later she tried to follow me into the gate, but was stopped by security since she never scanned a parking pass. That's when she started blowing up my phone again. I texted back one more time to tell her to give me space, and we would talk later, then showered and went to sleep. By Friday morning, I had 73 more texts and 32 missed calls. At that point, I knew I had to just end things with her sooner rather than later, so I could get some peace. Long story made short, as of yesterday afternoon, I've ended the engagement. She refuses to give the ring back because she thinks I'll come to my senses soon, and she'll keep it until then. I don't even care. She can have it. Her friends and family started calling me within 15 minutes of me ending things. I've blocked them all since they're being nasty to me and blaming me for it all. Judging by what they're saying, it seems like she made up a story about me having a mental health crisis and wanting to be alone. Again, I don't even care.